Deputy President David Mabuza is expected to chair a meeting of the National Coronavirus Command Council today. That's after President Cyril Ramaphosa tested positive for COVID-19. Tighter lockdown restrictions will be considered ahead of the festive season as the country continues to see a surge in daily cases, largely driven by the Omicron variant. Following every NCCC meeting, the President then meets with the 9 premiers and metro mayors and then makes an address to the nation. However, it's still unclear whether Mabuza will address the nation in the coming week. Well, joining us now for a bit of an update on this particular meeting is our senior politics reporter, that's Ziyanda Ngcobo, who is going to be covering the story for us. Ziyanda, good morning to you. Before we talk about whether the acting president, David Mabuza, will be the one that addresses the nation on the back of the NCCC meeting and the meetings thereafter, are there any strong indications that we might see tighter restrictions towards the coming festive season, I should say?
It would seem so, Oli, given the increase in the numbers when it comes to this Omicron variant. However, the debate right now is how exactly these tighter restrictions would look like, and also without impacting on the economy. It's back to the saving lives versus livelihoods. One thing we do know for sure, Oli, is that the government, even through officials, if you listen to what Transport Minister Mbalula had to say at his event in the Free State yesterday, is that the country cannot afford to go into a hard lockdown because of the impact that it has on the economy. Now, given the fact that the symptoms and the reaction to this Omicron variant is largely mild symptoms and side effects, it would seem that the government will also have to start considering ramping up its vaccination drive. We've seen those Vuma vaccination weekends taking place, but still, Toli, the numbers of those who've vaccinated is still quite low comparatively to the rest of the world. Only about 25% of our population has actually vaccinated, and so this should also be something that the government does focus on. Now, whether or not the Deputy President addresses us will be very interesting, given the fact that this Thursday is a public holiday, it's Reconciliation Day, and most companies are likely to close this Friday. So the anticipation here is that there should be something, at least even probably this evening, if all goes according to plan. Of course, we know that after the National Coronavirus Command Council meetings, the President would usually have a meeting with the mayors in the 9 metros as well as the premiers of the provinces. So at this particular stage, we know that meeting is still underway, but it would seem that a large part of this has to be guided by the science which is still also being collated as scientists still get more information about this Omicron variant.
Yeah. Ziyanda, for me, I think it is a foregone conclusion that it will be the Deputy President who in this particular period is acting in the capacity of President. He will address the nation. Perhaps the question would be, why would he not address the nation, given that the President is in isolation and the mandatory period is 10 days, so the President is out of action? Why wouldn't David Mabuza address the nation?
Well, Toli, I mean, you can be in isolation and still be on Zoom the way I'm on Zoom right now. I don't see what would stop the President, from being able to do that in isolation. In fact, I'm more inclined to think in a different way to you, Toli, that in fact, the fact that President Cyril Ramaphosa has tested positive for the coronavirus and Omicron variants, and that he himself has gone through the process knowing that he's a president who's quite big on PR, if I might say, that this would be a great opportunity for President Cyril Ramaphosa to use himself as an example, to get more South Africans to get vaccinated, to use his experience as a way to encourage others, to stay safe, to isolate. I don't see why he couldn't do it from his home. how hands-on, the president has been in terms of being the one at the forefront in communicating the coronavirus messaging when it comes to encouraging, non-pharmaceutical interventions. And I think right now, as I was saying, Toli, the government has this headache of having many vaccines, but South Africans just not going out to get vaccinated. I mean, even U.S. President Joe Biden, when he was asked to give when he was holding a briefing on the Omicron variant and the travel ban that he had imposed on Southern African countries, had said that, America has actually donated thousands, if not millions, of vaccines. The problem is South Africa and officials here actually getting people to get vaccinated. So I think, much like the activists have been saying, that the main focus should be on education drive. There's still a lot of vaccine hesitancy, and there's still many South Africans who are not trusting what exactly is inside these vaccines.
You make a good point there. That's our senior politics reporter, Ziyanda Ngcobo. We shall see who is going to ultimately address the nation. Let's leave that conversation there.